Hi, everybody. It's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about the events of July 2022. Okay, I know things have been so bumpy and stressful for people lately, and I always want to give you the different shifts and patterns in the month to just be, I don't want to say look out for things, just be aware that, maybe when there are times of more tension, you can be buffering that or being building up strength with that with maybe extra yoga practices or extra meditation or sending out different blessings to the world or to other people in your life. Making sure you're eating better, just putting less stress on your system, if there's energies that are more difficult to manage or whatnot. So when I do, some people say, why do you say bad things? Well, it's like we got to say the tense things and then the smooth things. Just this month, there's a few that are kind of like, ugh. Okay, and they're always temporary, but I just think it's nice to know they're coming up so we can be more kind of spiritually fortified or physically fortified, and just not question ourselves, and to be more gentle on ourselves and with others as well. So, one of the things that's going to be pretty helpful is Mars is changing signs. Today I'm doing this on the 4th of July. And Mars is going from Aries into Taurus. Now, Mars is connected with Aries, right? So Mars is the planet of energy, can be anger, it's initiating things, it's like pioneering and stuff like that. But it can be a little edgy or just kind of a lot, just a lot of energy with it being in its own sign. So as it transitions into Taurus, which is much more grounded, less impulsive, just more sort of steady, that can sort of help. And that 29th degree, there's 30 degrees of each sign, right? So 0 counts as the first degree and 29 is the 30th degree. So we're at the 29 degrees right now, 29 Aries. And that can be a little tense. And we also just went through the last few days of June, first few days of July. Mars was squaring Pluto, and Pluto was like Mars's big brother, so it can feel very, very tense and kind of tiring or stressful at that time. So we get through that. Mars goes to the 29th degree, go into Taurus, and it tends to be a breath, and a sense of groundedness and a sense of, let's say, reorientation of how you can use your energy wisely, and you don't have to feel like I do it right now. It's like you could wisely plan, sort of conserve energy, and then take the action when it's the right timing, this kind of thing. So that, I think, helps. Also, let me see, when I look down, I'm looking at my ephemeris, and some of you, this is a book of the ephemeris, but it tells where all the planets are. And then the white is when they're direct, and the retrograde is when they're gray. A lot of planets are retrograde a good part of the time. I talked about that before, the outer planets, like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, or even Jupiter and Saturn is that, as a retrograde. And so, okay. So when Mars goes into Taurus, which it does on the 5th, Mercury also goes into Cancer. So Mercury's been in Gemini for a few weeks, and oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we did, part of the retrograde in Gemini as well, and then it went back into Taurus for a bit. So Mercury's kind of been back and forth in Gemini since the last day of April. And Mercury is a planet that's do. Like Mars is like energy, physical energy, really, emotions too. But Mercury's kind of mental energy, right? So Mercury being in Gemini is also its own sign. So it goes real fast, and that can also be impulsive thinking and a little bit nervous. So with Mercury even going into Cancer on July 5th, that's another kind of breath. It slows down. It's more, it's just less fast, because Gemini's an air sign, and Cancer being a water sign, it's more grounded, it's more centered, it's less changeable so fast, and same with Mars going to Taurus, it's more steady. So that, I think, can be a collective breath, so that's going to help. A lot of the tension that's been going around lately. Now, let's see, we have the full moon. Now that's always sun opposed moon, right? And full moons can be that way because the sun is sort of our external self and the moon's the internal self. So there's just be a sense of tension. Sometimes it's a creative tension and stuff, but this full moon on the, sorry, keeping my glasses off and on, is the 13th of July. So not only is the sun and moon opposite, but Mercury now in Cancer will also be with the moon. And just see. Yeah, it will be by then. And then Pluto is kind of close there too. So it's, Sun and Mercury are together in Cancer, and then the moon and Pluto are opposing. Sorry about that. But when you involve Mercury again, it's the thinking, and Pluto can be kind of obsessive. So there's a point there where, again, a need for self-soothing or being aware that other people could get into worry and concern. And again, it's less dramatic than if we've got the Aries and the Gemini stuff, but it can be a sense of like not feeling safe, and because Cancer is about safety. So it's almost like just kind of thinking about the past few months, if you've been so distracted or overwhelmed, like it can be a return to really eating well, to sleeping, consistency. Cancer is a lot about consistent rhythms. And, there's a lot of things about good stress and bad stress, like kind of like shaking things up can be good to create a eustress or EU, good stress. But that could be things like, just creating changes in your routine in certain ways. But a lot of experts say like what we need consistency in is eating rhythms and sleeping rhythms, which is kind of the realm of Cancer, that the body feels safe. And when the body feels it's in its rhythm, then you can do these other things like, whatever that might be, of just going surfing or meeting new people or, whatever other things could challenge yourself. But it seems to be you need this base of safety and this rhythm that your body feels safe. So it could be checking in and saying, where are you overly challenging yourself? Like need to stand up for yourself and eating healthy, or making sure you have a lunch or something as simple as that. And it could be just your own self. You say, no, I have to stop for lunch, or I need to have breakfast, or I shouldn't have so much coffee, and push through or whatever. And making sure you're maybe sleeping at more regular times, and feel that your body can trust you, that there's a safety and grounding, and then you're not as buffeted by things. So that full moon can be kind of thinking about that, or letting, helping other people know, maybe reminding them about treating their body well so they can take on other stressors more easily, and even if it's like deep breathing, like before a meeting at work or something like that, and remembering like your core, or for you, yoga or something, of that nature, or getting a massage every month, and not skipping that, even if you're busy, to feel like you're grounded and centered in your own body, and have that, say if you go to massage every week or something, or go to yoga class twice a week, like to make sure keep that rhythm of steadiness, so that can help things be less bumpy. And like I said, it can be some people feeling obsessive or worried, or, and so soothing other people, and allowing space for some of that for people, because it's a temporary thing, so it passes over a few days. So maybe saying, hey, can we have this conversation next week, and there might be less about whatever they want to talk to you about, this kind of a thing. So, and so that's the full moon. Then one of the things that's really interesting about the end of the month is that, because I'm just looking at these things, I write them down, I'm like, oh brother. But again, here's Mars being in Taurus, which generally is very steady. But what will happen at the end of the month is Mars will get close to the planet Uranus. Now, that's cool, and then it's not so cool sometimes, because if Mars is our energy level and impulsiveness, and Uranus can be like sudden things, so people can feel more like, like doing sudden things, being more irritable. But because it's not in Aries, again, it's Taurus, it's a little more grounded. So there can also be a breakthrough of things you've wanted to change for a long time. Because on one level, Mars wants to take action. Uranus is about having like epiphanies and breaking free. And Taurus can be something you've contemplated for a long time. If it is some sort of dietary change or change of jobs or dealing with an issue in a relationship or a pattern you have within yourself that comes up, you can have the courage to take actions that have a long-term goal. Like, it's like, I'm going to quit my job. It's like, well, I have a plan to maybe go to get a master's degree and then say I'm transitioning out of a job. So it's not just a knee-jerk kind of thing. There's thought behind it and thought ahead of it or beyond it. You know what I mean? So that also can be good to break out of old patterns with the Mars with Uranus. But at that time, Mercury will then have moved from Cancer into Leo. So you got the thinking squaring the action stuff. So again, people can be a little bit raw. And this is going to be like the last few days of July. And so that Mercury can be, people are short-tempered and just again, watching out for that. And I guess it's so temporary. It's like if people are, say, all right, can we get back? Can I back to you in a few days about this, whatever the thing is going on? It will be less of a crisis probably a few days later because Mercury moves so quickly. But so, except when it's retrograde, right? Retrograde all through May and all. But that also can be, again, if you are feeling nervous about making a change you need to make, then the fact that Mercury's moved into Leo, which is more of a steady sign. They're called fixed signs, Taurus and Leo being two of them, and Scorpio and Aquarius being the other two, that you can sort of move out of, again, that stuck space and have the courage to move beyond whatever the issue is. But just knowing other people could be kind of raw. The good thing is that Venus, which will be in Cancer as well at that time now, makes a real supportive angle to all of that. So it's like knowing what is best for you and standing up for what's best. And again, seeing that there is, you're not just leaping into nothingness, that you've been thinking about it and there's somewhere to go with it, and but if it's this momentary stuff people are coming at you with, that can be better to pause, which would be more the Taurus Leo. And so you don't have to think on your feet with something that comes right at you, but when it's something you've been contemplating, it's a good time to make the move. That makes sense. So then at the same time, this is why I think it's kind of neat what's happening at the end of the month, is we'll have a new moon, the sun and moon in Leo now, because the sun goes into Leo later in the month of July. And then those two are going to be connecting with Jupiter, which is in Aries right now. And so Jupiter is generally a planet of hope. And then especially when it's in Aries, it's like, yeah, like you can think beyond issues and be very more optimistic. And so the new moon is fresh ideas. So that really helps to feel that there's this, not just like, dealing with stuff, but there's this, again, a vision beyond these actions that you're taking, your momentary stuff that's going on, or momentary feeling, you're gonna do something drastic. There's a whole big picture around it. Jupiter also is turning retrograde at the end of the month. It'll be like the 27th, I think, of July. And some people, Jupiter turns retrograde now. Jupiter's retrograde about 4 months a year, 5 months, so half the year it's direct, half the year it's retrograde. So it's not a big deal that it's turning retrograde, or it's going to be retrograde. But sometimes those little points of time where it slows down is interesting. Now, this can be stuff with, Jupiter is about economy things sometimes, or it can be, some better balance with what's going on with the economy, because it's kind of thinking more wisely and on bigger terms, so there can be balance points starting to happen, or because sometimes, Jupiter has a bad reputation, if it does have any bad reputation, because people just seem to love Jupiter, but it can be like kind of overinflated, and then when it goes retrograde, it's like, let's start coming back to like sanity or something. And so there can be a balance with economy things starting at late July. And I'm more of a personal astrologer, and so I don't like to think of global stuff sometimes, but I'm not as great with that, but just that can be, or people starting to feel there's hope and things are shifting, getting more normal, and feel like they can sort of relax and trust patterns, or powers that be of sorts. So it just can feel like there's more grounding by the end of the month. And again, if you are thinking of making these personal changes, that they can be grounded in a big picture and have a lot, not just be like, a thing I did and I stopped doing, but things that really started to, I made a move and then I'm moving ahead on that dream, and it's getting feedback that it was a good move to make and that I am going to be successful. So that's really hopeful. Okay, so I forgot to say at the beginning, I want to say hi to the guys at Know Thyself podcast. Thank you so much for talking about me and bringing me so many wonderful clients. If you want to get a reading with me, anybody, contact me. My phone number is below if you're on YouTube here, 248-583-1663, or go to my website, alunamichaels.com. You can send me an email from there. I think I have my email down below too on the YouTube. And then I have my little book, The Spiritual Gifts of the 12 Astrological Signs, on Amazon Kindle or through my website. So hang in there, and again, think about what you do want to shift. If there are some old things that want to change, that you've been wanting to change, it's going to be a good time to create a plan around that, even if there's small steps, to make those things happen. So, okay, have a good month, and bye-bye for now.